Hi, everyone. Welcome to DeltPod. This is a podcast hosted by the president of Zeta Chapter and the vice president. And this is where we interview brothers of Zeta Chapter of Delta Tau Delta and hopefully give you an insight into the conversations within our chapter. We felt that during this COVID time, there's been a gap. It's much harder to have new conversations with people and form new connections. And we felt that by creating this podcast, we could bridge that gap and give people an insight into our conversations in hopes that you look to join the conversation and communicate with us. So, welcome. And today we have a very special guest, our inaugural guest, Mr. Deep Bhattacharyya. Welcome.
What's up? It's a pleasure to be here, man.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Naaman, you want to take it away, the first couple
Sure,
questions here?
sure. So, Deep, could you just tell us a little bit about what brought you to Case in the first place?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was growing up in Portland, Oregon, and really one of my biggest things was I want to see the rest of the country. So, like, I wanted to go to school out of state if I could afford it. Um, and I also didn't know what I was going to be studying for sure. Like, so I wanted that freedom of like being able to switch majors fluently and stuff like that. And so I applied to a lot, quite a few schools out of state, and I guess the combination of all these like factors, like like freedom of like switching majors or like um, just being outside my like comfort zone in terms of like staying on the West Coast close to family, stuff like that. And being affordable is like, well, it was Case for me. Um, so that's how I got here, man.
Yeah, I actually want to reach a little further back. I remember when we were recruiting and you were rushing like 2 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
You mentioned like something really interesting about Oregon and like riding the bus. And you told me a little bit about like why you enjoyed that so much. So I'd want you to share that again. I
Oh,
found that
dude,
really interesting.
dude. So okay, it's like I would ride the bus, like my parents had work and like we didn't have a free car for me, right? So basically what I had to do was like I had to ride the bus to and back from school and like wherever I wanted to go. It was the bus for me. But like the bus like is an awesome place because like usually people are kind of sad and like they just have their earbuds in and everything, but it's like um like sometimes like people just start talking and like you just meet like amazing people. Like I met a person on the bus who was like she was from India and like she was like a singer on the radio in India, and then she ended up here, and it was like, yo, like your life story is like completely like I wouldn't have imagined like anybody on the bus was like had a life story like that. And sometimes you just meet people or like you talk and like you just talking to your friends and you're cracking jokes, and all of a sudden like half the bus starts laughing along with you, and it's like, yo, you made some people's day. It's like, yo, I don't know, like it's a good feeling. Usually that doesn't happen, but sometimes when it does, it's a beautiful feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. And hopefully you got some of those conversations rushing us too. Um,
Oh yeah, dude, a lot.
so let's move on. I guess what is your staying on Case? What is your favorite part been about Case?
Ooh, favorite part about Case probably, well, okay, is it like academically like
Anything?
um dude, I gotta say, like, favorite part about Case is like academic freedom, man. Like, people switch
Mhm.
majors so much. Like, I know people who are like came in as a different major and they switched to like a different sort of like an engineering major or something. And sure, they might have to stay like a fifth year or something, but like the fact that you can do that is like amazing. Like, you don't have to have everything figured out your first year. You can wait until like the end of your first year or even second year to like figure out your own interests and where you want to go. And like the type of people you meet at Case are like, sometimes they have it all figured out and they're like super passionate, they know what they want. Other times it's like they don't really know, but it's like they know a general direction. And it's like, I don't know, it's a whole like diversity of thought in like how people think. And I think that's a pretty cool thing to have. What do you think is like
Sure.
the best thing about Case, man?
I would agree. I mean, I think like it is really important to be able to have time to decide what you want to do. I switched it up pretty late, um, and I think that's super useful.
Yeah, it's interesting. Based off what you said about the communities in Portland in that case, how do you think they compare with each other? Do you think that that everyone goes on the bus and can have a fantastic conversation as can occurs at case two, or is it a Portland thing? And if so, what do you think like the city has done to develop that sense of community?
Mm. I do think that like these sort of conversations can happen anywhere, right? Like it doesn't matter where you are in the country, people still need a laugh, and people still have like
Yeah.
people come from all over the world, all over the even in Cleveland, people who stayed the entire life in Cleveland, like they could have absolutely like wild trajectories of their life, and I don't think it's limited to like where you are in the world. Especially with America, it's like people from all over the world come here. So it's crazy to hear. Like I think um, I think COVID's put sort of a damper on it, but it's like, when you're a first year at Case, like you take usually people don't have cars or anything. So like whatever you want to do, you got to take the RTA. And like, I don't know, that's how you like see some of Cleveland. Like you like, I remember trying to go to like an Asian store and like I got off at a certain stop and I walked the rest of the way. And it's like, I don't know, like you gotta RTA doesn't go everywhere, but it's also like you get to see the rest of Cleveland. Um I think that um I don't know. I got my own complaints against the RTA. Like I wish there were more buses, a few more lines, but that's a different thing. I think there is that sort of community at Case too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I think that's like also my favorite part about recruitment is being able to hear all of the like unique stories. I think it's so great that we have such a like people coming from everywhere. Especially me growing up in Cleveland, like this isn't super new to me, so it's like really nice for me to meet people like you guys and just hear how it is elsewhere.
Right. Dude, it's super cool. It's like you see people from like all around the world, like people who've been to like, I don't know, like Latin America and stuff like that. And it's just cool to hear people's perspectives from these places. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so the name and talking about recruitment. So I'm curious, Deep, what brought you to Dell?
Oh man. Okay. Alex right here. He was one of my people who like sort of I got lunch with, you go to lunch with a bunch of people
Yeah.
during recruitment. So he's one of those people. And like I guess a lot of the questions I was asked, I was like, yo, I'm I did not think of these questions. Like I don't know. I felt like people I was talking to were trying to get to know me as a person rather than just, like
What's your
um
major?
yeah, rather than what's your major, what do you like to do in your free time, stuff like that, like they were trying to get to know like how I think and like my values and things like that. And I don't know, like that really struck a chord with me, because like I didn't really expect a fraternity to be asking that type of question um, during recruitment. So like I was kind of taken aback by that, and that's what kept me going in rushing. I was like, yo, this is really cool. So I got to keep going.
Yeah, I think I want to ask like go a little bit before that. Like, how did you initially find out about I guess Greek life at Case, and like what drew you to Delt initially? I know it's like it can be very difficult to even find out about most fraternities here, which is something
Yeah.
we got to do better.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like I was not really too interested in the Greek life at case. Like my first like interaction with Greek life was just talking to like some OLs who were from a different fraternity, like Sigma Nu, and they encouraged me to go out to taste the Greek life, which was like the big intro to Greek life sort of event for first years. So like I just went out and sort of and there were so many chapters there, and like I think the recruitment chair then, Alex West, like I was just talking to him, and then at the end he was like, "Hey man, you want to give me your number?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, dude." And I just gave him my number, and then we just texted, and then I sort of just put recruitment off my mind, but then like someone texted me like, "Hey, we're having this event, come on by. It's like you can visit our house, and it's game night, and you can just have fun, free pizza." So I was like, you know what, I'll check it out because it's like right there. It's not too long of a walk at all. And I went in and I was talking to the people there, just seeing the vibe of everything. Like I remember like meeting the vice president then, like I think it was Will, and I was like, "Oh, dude, why'd you join Delt? Why not join the chapters right next door or something?" And just having a conversation about that, and I don't know, like that's what that's how I sort of got introduced to Delt, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Cool. I think I guess we can go about like what's been your favorite part about Delt so far.
mm,
'Cause you're midway through.
Or
yeah,
I
You
guess
didn't
like
get to
a
do this.
couple
Yeah.
couple highlights or something like that. Just a little taste of what life is like.
yeah, for sure. Um, dude, this just made me think I'm old, man. I'm getting old. Uh, second year already. Um, I guess like one of my biggest, well, okay, like general thing I love about Delt is people's openness to talk about various different things, whether that's like, you know, their personal like struggles, like your values, like your like philosophical struggles, you're like, what just or even like or more traditional topics like politics or things like that, but like it's never with judgment, like it, there are so many people with so many different like perspectives, sometimes like polar opposites in so many different topics, and
That's
it's
for
at the
sure.
same time like you see like you don't hate each other or anything like that. In fact, you love each other for like as people else, like because you're brothers. And I think that has to be my favorite part about Delt, like that you can talk about these things. You can be polar opposites and talk about it. I guess like events wise, like I gotta say Vermonsters was pretty good, where we just went out and ate a lot of ice cream. Um, that was
Yeah,
pretty
it's
fun.
basically like a race with two buckets of ice cream, and whatever team finishes it first
Yeah,
wins.
yeah. And there were like three teams. Our team was bad. Like we didn't. I didn't help with any with that. So, but that was a lot of fun. That was just like, just more of the fun stuff. And there are events like Circle Walk where it's more of like, you get to know more about your fellow brothers. And, it's an event that you like don't know much about going into it. But then once you do, it's like, man, like that's what sort of like um transitioned me into like, wow, like I really love where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think, as you were describing the openness to communicate and to get to know each other, it's like I think our chapter has like a humble curiosity throughout how we recruit and how we communicate. We're not trying to defend a point to beat the other brother in an argument. It's a genuine interest in trying to get to know them and the way they think. And I also felt that way when I went through my recruitment and felt that was one of the most special parts of this chapter because I had never met a group of guys that was so interested in talking about a variety of different issues with the intent to just communicate and learn from each other. So I also felt that was a really special part of this chapter. But how do you think that Delt has impacted your college experience so far?
Hmm. I think that Delt has given me like people that can hold me like accountable, like it's, I don't know, like we always talk about this where it's like, what is a brother? Like what is it's like a brother is like an added layer on top of a friend. A brother isn't just your like friend or like amazing friend. A brother is like an added layer of, like guidance and like added layer of like sincerity and added layer of like accountability. Like um I think Delt has given me that during my case experience. Like obviously there are things like, opportunities to like learn about like how to organize an event. Like I was brotherhood chair my first year, and I learned a lot about just how to like before that I'd never put together an event where you had to like have enough food for everyone, where you had to like budget out everything. Alex knows this. I was terrible with budgeting, um, and it was it was an experience of figuring all that out. And obviously there are those things, but also like Delt has given me like, like something to guide me. Like they're the values and rituals of Delt, which like obviously has its own like addition to my life, where I see these moments of sincerity, I see these conversations with people, but it's also just like I know that I can go to brothers for help. Like the brothers may not know me as much, like may not know me too well. Some brothers may not know me too well, but it's like I can go to them for help, and they will help me to like the best of their ability, and I will help any brother that comes to me to the best of my ability. And having that, I think having that sort of network has been like a very great addition in my life at Case.
That's good to hear.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And I know you kind of mentioned your experiences as Brotherhood chair, and now you're the director of member development.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how do you think Delt has made you become a better leader? Because everyone, what I've kind of observed is that everyone is a leader in their own way, and I think the best part of the being in a fraternity is that you can learn how you are your best leader. And I'm curious to know, you know, what impact Delt has had on your leadership skills.
Yeah. Um, I think, well, in leading, right? Like, I think there's a lot of aspects to leading, right? It's like having that vision, having that sort of idea of what you're doing.
Right.
And I think like I came into my leadership positions with that vision, with that idea of what I wanted to do. But like where I had like shortcomings was like, you know, the more logistical aspects, like how do I accomplish more specific goals to make the vision a reality. Like I came into being brotherhood chair with the vision of like, hey man, I want to strengthen the brotherhood in the chapter. Like I want to increase participation in chapter events, things like that. I want to just get people hyped. But then when you go into it and it's like, okay, I want to do all these, but like me just going around being a hype man alone isn't gonna cut it. Like, how do I accomplish this? What are like the logistical aspects of how to accomplish this? Like, how can I organize my events and structure my events to like best um, sort of build that atmosphere, And
Right.
that those are the things to like think about. What sort of events do I want to build that atmosphere? Um, like, and what sort of events aren't needed? Um, so like with those aspects, like more figuring out the specifics, figuring out the um smaller details, sweating the finer. I used to be like type of leader who's like, yeah, no, don't sweat the small details. Focus on the big picture. But you got to sweat the smaller details, and that's what like Dell has taught me. Like that was my own shortcoming with my leadership, and I'm still working on that. But um, that like I've gotten a lot better with it thanks to like my experience with being brotherhood chair and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like that's leadership by creativity. I think we've seen like a lot of the events that you've come up with to make the vision happen have just been super unique and I mean, honestly, just super enjoyable. So yeah, I would
Thank
definitely
you.
agree with that.
That's good to hear that they were enjoyable, man.
Yeah,
And we know that it's working, that the process is working, because this year you were elected to the IFC VPC position. So
Yeah,
you want to tell the viewers a little bit more about that?
yeah, sure. Um, so yeah, I just decided to go for like an IFC position because
can
there
you
was a
real
lot
quick?
of
Can you give us like a little background on IFC?
yeah. So IFC's like Interfraternity Congress. Basically, it's like the sort of unifying body of all the fraternities at Case, and then is IFC and PHC, which is the sorority side of IFC. They usually work together on a lot of things. Actually, they work together on like most things. So yeah, and then I with IFC, I decided to go for that IFC position of being a VPC. And VPC is basically like um, a lot of the programming surrounding like it's vice president of citizenship. So a lot of the programming surrounding like IFC level member development, you know, setting expectations for members and like how do we define like what sort of values we want in our Greek community and what sort of like where do we want the Greek community to be in terms of like the conversations we're having, in terms of what we care about and what type of people are like in here in the Greek community, you know, because and a lot of that driving force for me to get in there was, you know, a lot of stuff happened over the summer where, you know, Greek life was under heavy criticism, rightfully so. And like basically having to act on that. I was like, I love my chapter, but I can't ignore the fact that I'm part of a greater community. And how can I do my part to sort of better my community, better the community that I'm in? And I guess this was my answer to that. So I'm more specifically like I'm VPC of wellness, which is like I focus a lot more on sort of an upstander programming. Y'all just saw Upstander 101, which was hosted by Smart. I work a lot with Smart to like accomplish my sort of bigger picture goals.
What's
Um,
smart?
Smart's basically it's the organization within Greek life to talk about being an upstander. Like we used to call it active bystander training, but now we're shifting the language towards being an upstander. You know, it's more active. Basically, they used to give presentations about sex, self, and substance. Um, how do you take care of members who are struggling with these issues? You know, how do you be an active citizen in standing up for, you know, you're seeing sexual harassment in front of you, like what do you do, like what are things you can do, and basically, you know, how to not just stand by and do nothing, um, in for the lack of a better term. And basically Smart gives presentations on this and is sort of like an educational organization led by students about these topics within Greek life. um, Y'all just did the Upstander 101 program. Our new members at least did it, and
It
that
was
is
good.
also
I was
hosted.
there too. It was good, man. It
Oh
was
yeah,
really
man.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Glad to hear you liked it. It was a hit this semester. I didn't have much to do with that. That was all Smart leader, Smart coordinator, Marika, and all the people in Smart who are working towards it. And you know they've done an excellent job. Um, but essentially, like working with these organizations to build a sort of like safer community, and you know also focusing on mental wellness within Greek life. It's especially this semester, it's been a very hard semester for people in chapters and in Greek life. And you know, how can I be an advocate for them? And beyond just even after COVID, how can I be an advocate for people struggling with wellness in Greek life and in the campus community? And how can I build like resources to best reach out to them. So yeah, that's a bit about my work on
Yeah.
the IFC level. So I kind of just went on for a bit.
No, man, I that's awesome, and it's what I really love about what you said is that when you saw the issue that went on over the summer, you just felt it in you to go after it to make your impact, and I think that's a really powerful thing to do, and it's very inspiring for everyone as well. But I'm curious to know, how do you think that your experiences as brotherhood chair, will help you in this new role?
In my experience as Brotherhood Chair, like basically I had to think about a lot about engagement, how do I engage people the best, how do I um, hold people accountable the best, because like I had people organizing events, and it's like if people didn't organize those events, like I was kind of I kind of had nowhere to go from there. Um, so my experience as Brotherhood Chair was a lot about thinking about how we can like properly engage people. I'd also thought about like, how can I best be an advocate for people who feel unwell within the chapter. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't do as well with that aspect of being the Brotherhood Chair. But I used to think a lot about that, and I guess knowing what engages people, having that insight into like how to engage people, what engages people, how do we like approach discussions the best, how do we build like an atmosphere of vulnerability, of like being open to conversations, like just seeing that, having that insight is sort of like very helpful within my work at VPC, in my work as being the VPC, because even though a lot of what I do is like big picture sort of, what do we need to build to sort of get where we want to be as a community,
Right.
um, I can still sort of provide those insights and have those insights for myself when I'm organizing things, when I'm helping people organize things, and you know, and thinking of ideas and initiatives on a Greek-wide level. Like, all right, how do we best reach out to members? How do we best create like hype around this thing? And I guess that is like an insight that I've had as like Brotherhood Chair that I like brought to the table as VPC.
Yeah, absolutely. Um,
Nice.
well,
Do you have another question, Nathan?
no, I was just say, go ahead, Naaman.
I guess like what is one one big impact that you think all of your for your I guess Greek life experience will have on your future, I guess. Like what maybe like a big lesson that you'll take into the real world or something along those lines.
Hmm. I feel like one of the biggest lessons like is to like, well, for me personally, like one of the biggest lessons I've learned from Greek life is that you should be comfortable with who you are, you know? And it doesn't matter what other people think of you, just like get out there and do your thing, you know? Don't be scared of it. Do it fully, do it proudly, do it loud and proud. And that's one of the like biggest lessons I've learned from being in Delt, like that's my Greek life experience. So like, like I came in to Case as like, not as confident in myself, and just, being sort of scared of judgment, like, I don't want to say these things, or I'm just going to chill out in the back and not do any, like, not say much, just because like I don't know what people think of me, or I used to care too much about like what people thought of what I did, things like that. And I think one of the things I've learned in Delt, and just like talking to brothers, being like, you're good just the way you are, like you shouldn't let other people judge you for who you are, and you just gotta like just do it. You want to say something about a situation that you see and you don't like it, just say it. Say it loud and proud. Just be proud of yourself, and just get out there and like have confidence in yourself, because if you believe in yourself, other people are going to believe in you. That's what I've like learned, and ever since then, like I've sort of like I'm still working on it myself too, but it's like I think it's a lifelong process, right? But I think Greek life has like accelerated that process a lot, especially being in Delt. Like I've learned to be comfortable with myself and how to be loud and proud with what I do.
Yeah, that's
What
awesome.
about you guys, man? I'm curious to know what you guys have taken away.
I mean, I have to agree with you. I think we learn a lot about speaking up in Delt, just because if we can't gauge the opinion of every single member, it gets really difficult to make sure that you're in the best interest of the members. And I think, just like from my position, it's been really important to make sure that my ideas are known, but to also sit back a little bit and make sure I ask everybody. That's why what I like so much about the administrative committee is because, like, it's a lot of very open people, and people come and talk, and we're able to help each other generate ideas. And I've just like realized how creative people are, and that I would just never come up with 90% of the ideas that we actually go forward with. And I think being very open to that is super important to honestly just have a fun organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me will just be, how to uh, like what are the best ways to uh, motivate people and uh, find the ways to have them be their best selves, right? Because I think in my role, the key point of it is to motivate guys and to have them reach their fullest potential in their position, because I strongly believe that when everyone knows their role, is secure with their role, and is committed to doing their best for the greater group, the organization is going to have success. So just the process of doing that is just my biggest takeaway. And it's something that I really will take with me for the rest of my life, because whatever job I'm in, these processes and experiences will always apply. And it's really why I feel thankful to be a part of it and to have known you guys. And that's what makes this a special place.
Cool. I think one final question, probably ask everybody this. So the pillars of Delt are truth, courage, faith, and power. It's a lot of what we talk about with ritual and things like that. And maybe you've been asked this before, but out of those four pillars, what speaks to you most? And I think I might be able to guess, but go for
Yeah.
it.
Well, well, I would have to say, hmm.
I've got to guess too.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let me come on with my guess real quick. Is it faith?
Nope.
Oh no, not faith. Um, I don't know. That's a tough question. That's something I've thought about a lot myself too. Like, which of these pillars do I most embody myself? Which of these pillars do I want to embody? Um, and out of like truth, courage, faith, and power, probably the pillar that like I want to embody like sincerely is courage. Like you gotta have you gotta have. I mean, it also goes with faith, right? Like you gotta have faith in yourself. You gotta have faith in the people around you and the faith in the work that you're doing, right? If you have that, like, and that's a part of courage too. Like you gotta believe in yourself, but you also just gotta get out there. You can't like stay in your shell forever. We aren't like turtles, like we're human beings. We got no shell. Like if we just try to like pretend we're in a shell, like we're gonna get hurt, because like we don't got that protective atmosphere, you know. Like you just gotta get out there. You just gotta like make the change that you want to. You gotta shoot your shots, in many different aspects of the world. You know, like it's it's like don't be afraid, don't be scared, and approach the world head on. You know, like approach the challenges that you face in your life head on. You know, like if you're struggling with classes, like approach it head on. Just sit down, go to KSL, sit down for hours, and just like, you know, study. You know, like just it's a lot harder said. uh it's a lot harder to actually do it, you know. But you know, it's, I don't know, I've always been a believer of, you know, like, okay, I'm gonna make an Avatar analogy. Have you guys watched Avatar?
Yeah.
I haven't.
Okay. Oh shoot, man. Oh shoot. Okay.
All right, I can look it up after. I'll look it up after. Don't worry.
All right, dude, we gotta watch Avatar, man. It's trust me, it's 60 episodes of the like best thing on earth. All right, like
I trust
it,
you. I trust you.
this is why I keep this plushie around. Like it's just the best. Like one of the things in Avatar that I love, right? Like there's this scene where they talk about like earth bending, and like it's like no matter what's approaching, it could be like a gigantic beast approaching you. You just stand there and you don't make way. You don't
Yes,
make
sir.
way. You don't move out. You just stand there. You stand your ground. And it's like I was like, wow, man, that's like a good philosophy to live life by. I can't say that I embody courage as much as I would like to, you know, but that is one of the pillars that I do want to embody, to like stand your ground and not give way to like things you don't want to give way to, you know, like to establish yourself to like in the world, you know, you got to make your own mark in the world. You can't let other people do that for you, you know. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm making any sense, man, but
No,
that
you
is like,
definitely are. I'm
Yeah.
glad we got to tie in our guy in the back.
dude, I'm
So
telling you, I'm telling you, man. Avatar is like filled with like these philosophical insights that I mix with like Delt's philosophical insights, and I'm like, yo, man, yo, that I don't know. It's like your brain just grows bigger and bigger, man. What about you guys? I'm curious about you guys, man. Like,
Hmm.
what do you think?
I think we might go a little deeper with each other later, but do you have one off the top of your head, Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, from my first recruitment car ride at going to Swenson's to one of our consistent favorite recruitment events, I was
For
asked this
sure.
question myself, Vish knew in the car. Shout out Vish, one of our brothers, and courage. That was mine too, because I think that courage is the root that creates the stems for the other three values. Because I think if you have courage, then you can tell the truth. If you have courage, you can be faithful in others. And if you have courage, then you will go for positions in power, and you will have a much greater chance of being a powerful person. So from day one, courage has been my go-to and my favorite one. And a lot of the reasons that courage is so meaningful to you, Deep, resonate with me as well. So I appreciate you sharing those for us.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that's good to hear.
Cool. Thank you. And I was gonna guess courage for you, Deep. By the way,
Oh, but what about you, Alex? What pillar do you most resonate with, man?
I think for me it's truth, solely for the reason of like I think it's really important to be true to yourself. I think college has really introduced like a very unstructured way of life. As I was always really used to like being super regimented with sports and practices in school, obviously 8 hours a day. And it's like everything's super, super consistent, which is like the polar opposite of what my experience has been here. And honestly, I don't think I embody it very well, but the discipline that comes from like being true to yourself, um, and just not making excuses, like really sitting down and figuring out what a plan is something that I think is really important and something that I really want to be better at.
Awesome.
man.
Well, that wraps up our first inaugural episode of DeltPod. Deep, thank you so much for being our first guest. Obviously, to tie it back in really quick, takes courage to be the first guest. So props to you. And, we're really thankful to have you in our chapter because we know that, that same feeling that you have on your buses in Portland, you're working your tail off to create in our chapter and in our campus community. So we appreciate you, man. Thank you for being on the pod. And we'll see you all in next week on our next episode. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks for having me, man.